And thank you so much for all those who has already signed in. My name is Raymond Fung. You call it Rahman. And I have used the word Rahman, and I'll tell you the reason why it's Rahman. That's the difference. Now, first of all, I would like to welcome everybody to these interesting sessions. For these sessions will definitely help you to get a better relationship with many people and win more friends. So, spend this fruitful 20 minutes with me, and I guarantee you, you will take away something very, very useful tonight. All right? So, first of all, thank you again for being with me. And there are 3 or 4 things that I would like to push through today. And of course, because it's only 15 to 20 minutes time. So, first of all, I would like to start with a quote. And this quote will say that don't assume that every one of your friends or your colleagues or even your family members know anything about what you expect from them, because they are not God, right? The thing is that in order to let the person know, we must communicate, not assume. So the whole subject today we are going to share with you today is about assumption. So how this word assumption comes about in order to make or even break sometimes friendship, relationship, working relationship, and so on and so forth. So this subject can be said to be very easily understood, but then people seems to make a lot of mistake assuming that people know. Okay, that's a joke about this also. What's the difference between confidence and confidential? So there was this man who is actually doing planting at his garden, and then his 5-year-old son came over and asked, he said, Daddy, what's the difference between confidence and confidential? So the man looked at the son and said, look here, son, you are my son, and I'm very confident about that. Can you see over the other side? Can you see the boy over the other side? He is also my son, and that is confidential. So there's no assumption, right? In this case, it's clear cut. So the young man was scratching his head. The young boy was thinking, what my father is trying to tell me? All right. So sometimes there's a point that when we assume something, it's always very dangerous. Let me give you an example. Like today, I was driving from Bukit Tinggi to over to my place in Taman Andalas Jaya. As I was driving slowly, I noticed there's a motorbike, and this guy actually is following me at the back. So as I drove, I was driving very slowly, and he's following slowly. Then I'm looking at the left and right and say, hey, why not he's going to overtake me when I'm going at that speed? And he keep on like looking down and looking up and looking down and looking up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think that he's doing? So the first thought most of us would have said, he said, yeah, maybe this guy is playing or fiddling with his handphone. That was my first thought, and that was he was following. And when you're driving and somebody actually is following your back, so you're so worried that he might just knock his motorbike at the back of our car, right? So I'm trying to keep left, but he doesn't move right or left. He's just tailing behind. So I said, okay, let me see. So when I drove further down, I cut to the left and see what he will do. So finally, he cut it to the right and he moved forwards. My first thought is this guy is meddling with his handphone, which is very dangerous in driving. But actually what I saw was, he was actually holding a basket of eggs. Can you see a tray of eggs in his basket, the motorbike baskets? And that's why he's very cautious, and that's why he's driving very slow. So you see, that assumption I make on that guy could have caused me to have a wrong conception or perception of him. So that's why sometimes assumption is so important. Similar-wise, we assume that when it's dark, we dare not to go. So what do we do is, normally we go and advise our children, don't go to the dark. There's some place there very, very scary, So again, what makes us say that? Is it handed down because of the predecessor, because of our parents, or because someone that told us that when it's dark, it's scary? So you can see, assumption brings us the negative thought. So this is the subject we are talking about. It's about the beauty and the ugliness of communication. Communication, it can help us, but also it can break us. For example, How many of us would say thank you to our parents when they serve us a bowl of meat or a cup of tea? Now, come on, be honest. Ask yourself. Now, most of us will say, yeah, I said thank you. But some will say, no. So why not? Now, example, if one of your friends they come to your place, right, and then you serve, let's say, a bowl of tea or a bowl of meat or even a glass of water, what would your friend actually say? They will say thank you to you, right? This is precisely, all right? Because it's assuming that the friend has manners, right? On the other hand, what would you say to your parents? Did you or did you not? Say I if you have, all right? So now there's a distinct difference in assuming. Then this is where my mentor, Tony Robbins, I attended one of his seminar, and it was about Date with Destiny in Australia, Brisbane, many years ago. And this is what he told us. He said, how many of you actually really say thank you to your parents? Now, if you do, put up your hand and say, I. Right. Now, that's congratulations if you do that. But if you not, then the question is, why not? So all of us, sometimes we do not know how to do it. All right? Or, again, build on assumptions, right? Some people say, Rahman, no need to say lah. It's my mother lah. Okay? And mother always sayang us lah. Sayang in bahasa, in English means is love us. Because some of you actually are hearing from some other countries. So now, just imagine, then this what Tony Robbins told us. I don't care which country you come from, because we were in Brisbane, Australia. And then he said, when the break time, please go out and then make a call to your respective countries, and then you start telling your parents or even your siblings, and tell them that you say thank you to them. So yeah, so all of us went out. So we start calling, and when we start calling, there was a friend beside me who is also a Malaysian. We were in Australia together attending this seminar, and then he started calling. He was about 48 years at that point of time, and when he called, he said, krung, 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 krung. And then you can hear from the other side, say, hello son, how are you? How are you doing in Australia? And then this guy said, Mom, I want to tell you thank you. And all of a sudden, you know what happened? No sound. Right? No sound. So what happened? Then this guy said, Mom, are you okay? And all of a sudden, he heard the sound like souping sound. And then the mother asked, what happened to your son? Are you okay? The son said, I'm perfectly okay, mother. So the mother asked, are you enjoying yourself? Yes, certainly, mother. So what happened? He said, because of this mentor, Tony Robbins. So he taught us how to appreciate all the good things that you have done for me. So that was so pleasant, and it was so happy. And the mother felt so happy. So that was one incident. So we assume that our parents know that we have a heart for them, but do they really know? Most of the time, we assume that our friends would meet our expectations, and we say things was only half-heartedly, expecting the other parties to be able to do the things that we wanted them to do. But what happened in reality? Would they know? So this is an important factor. When we assume that people know what we are expecting, and if we don't get the result or the outcome, so how would we feel? Disappointed, upset. And because of that, sometimes our relationship with these people, they would be affected. Although we don't say it or we don't even admit it, but we say, this person is too arrogant. This person is unkind. This person is not open. This person cannot be trusted. So we build a lot of what? Negative assumption on people. How many of that has this type of thinking? Say, I. Now, it's not wrong if you don't know. But if you know, then we should put things in a better perspective. We cannot assume that people automatically would know what we want from them until we communicate with clarity. With clarity means that you have to think in terms of, if you are the other person, how would you actually receive the instruction or the message? Would you be able to decode it? And would you be able to understand it? So, you see, in our Asian culture, that's the problem. Malaysian and Asian culture. We don't be so open, So which means that we don't ask for clarification. We only start to assume, and then we expect the other party, I think they know. Why you don't know, So that is obvious. The sound familiar, is it? Why you don't know? So don't know means don't know, right? That is if they communicate. But if they don't communicate, then so many things that you don't even know. So what happened? People build assumptions, no? Like for example, in Valentine's Day, you don't send flowers to your wife. What would be your wife's thing? And she didn't say anything. Then she said, oh, my husband is not going to love me anymore. So what happened? Then you don't feel nice, okay? Okay, they don't feel nice. Then something you don't even know why they don't feel nice. Alright? So that's the thing. So please, today, you understand why. Why do people sometimes get very frustrated? Why do people suddenly don't talk to us? Why do people sometimes stop to communicate with us? Is there something wrong? Or in reality, they are building assumption. They are building assumption that we know what they are thinking. So that is the fallacy of communication. Alright, so with that, we're going to go through another example for you. This example is actually talking about when we assume people know, what do we do? Most of the time, we will say we expect them to know. But how true? How true is true that we expect them to know? If we don't expect them to know, then we would know how to structure the communication process in order for the people to have clarity. And clarity in communication is very, very important. Now, this case has happened many, I'm sure many of you also has many examples. Why sometimes we get something, we expect something but we didn't get it, right? Some of you may able to take it easily, some of you may take it even more badly about these things. So what do we need to do? So we need not to assume, right? So if we start assuming things, that's where trouble comes, right? Assumption is the ugly part of communication. The beauty part of communication is where people understand you, you understand people. For us to understand people, there's a saying that goes, seek to understand before being understood. Now this is a phrase by Stephen Covey in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People in his book. And this book, it says that you must understand people first, must give a chance, and you must listen to people first before you get yourself being understood by the other party, right? I hope with all this sharing of this information, all of us would have a better communication with people. And this is the way how we win friends. We cannot assume that if a friend, if you call today, you call one friend and they don't reply you, and then you assume that the friend, why is like that one, why don't friend don't reply to my call immediately? I've made an effort to call and then he doesn't even respond. So the question is everyone as free as you? Did you tell that your message is urgent? Or did you mention that please respond? Or you just send him a message and with a wishless hope that this person will reply to you. And if he or she doesn't reply, then you feel bad and upset. But does the person know? So in reality, this is life. But yet many of us, we have this problem. Okay? And when we have this problem, sometimes we don't share it out. Alright? So, Aling, did you get it, the record inside? Can you see from the Facebook? There is it? Oh, sorry. Because my picture, I'm just asking my wife whether is it, I'm still appearing here. Because in Zoom, sometimes we can have response to chat, but then, this Facebook I don't have, I'm sorry. Okay, good. So, because something just came out in my screen, so I wasn't sure whether I'm in the picture with you all. Alright? So, I hope that these assumptions will give us an idea. All right. Okay, there's another example I would like to share with you. You know, in the subway in London, then this man actually he took 4 children and he went down the subway. As they went down the subway, there are many commuters also waiting for the train to arrive. So while waiting, the man he sat down and he was feeling very, very upset. Right? Meanwhile, what happened to his children? They were running around. They were shouting, and some even go and pull the newspaper of the other passengers, and some even go shouting, and then some kicking away like that, you know. Now, if you are one of the commuters or passengers, what perception would you have on this man? What do you think? So there are a lot of assumptions. Okay, now I couldn't communicate with you, but I would like you all to think for a minute. What would you think about this man? Let's say in my training class, some of them will say, all right, this man has no manners, he did not train his children, or sometimes he's under tremendous pressure. There were so many reasons given by people. Now, what would you think? Pinching people back, pulling people newspaper, shouting, playing. All the 4 children were going around. So finally, one of the commuters, a senior citizen, he could not tolerate the nuisance caused by this man's children. So he walked over and politely he asked this man, hey mister, do you know actually your children are so noisy and they have been rascals disturbing everyone in the subway? With a sad look in his eyes, the man looked up and sadly he said, I'm so sorry. We just came back from the hospital where the mother of these 4 children has passed away. So ladies and gentlemen, what do you think now? What would be your previous assumptions about whether this man has no manners, whether this man is non-educated, whether this man has no discipline, right? But when we hear about the real story, our heart goes along with him. We sympathize with this man, and we sympathize with all his children. So you see, the assumptions that we initially have regarding any events, anybody's for that matter, sometimes it's not right. And when it's not right, it hurt us, it hurt the other parties. I have personally experienced some of my friends, for no apparent reason, they stop talking, stop communicating. Why? I don't know. But what I would like to say here is, life has to go on. Whatever happens, we have to proceed and we have to continue our life journey, right? Irrespective. Because happy or not happy, like in our local Malaysian radio, they call it Chiu Papa, they call it 988. They always say this, if you're happy, you pass one day. If you're not happy, you pass one day, right? So we have to assume that everything is smooth, okay? If it's not smooth, also we have to assume it's smooth. Because that's how life goes on. It's no point to cry over spilled milk. Because there are 2 factors. One is called controllable and the other one is called uncontrollable. If it's uncontrollable, why you feel so depressed? Why some also feel so frustrated? Why we feel so sad? No need. Forget about that. Life is too short. Alright? But if you choose to feel happy, assume everything is correct. Assume it's positive. We move towards life. And this is what I'm going to share with you. Right? So, in reality, life is always a journey. But the choice of what happens is not within us. But the choice on how we react and how we respond to what happened is very important. So friends, ladies and gentlemen, I would really like to thank all of you for being here with me today to listen to the talk on assumption. Because this one strategy, if you know today, tonight, it will help you many years to come, you will be on the right path. No matter who say what, don't assume things. As I always tell people, to not assume if we do not have facts, right? Because assuming things can be very dangerous. Let's take the right paths and continue our journey of happiness, in harmony, in great health. All right. So for one more is, I give you one more story. This is talking about the warship, right? There's this submarine, and this submarine is heading towards a certain directions. And then the seaman who is controlling the submarine, he said, "Captain, I noticed in front," because it's quite foggy that night, I said, "I noticed in front, about 1 kilometer, there's a light." So the captain said, "Ask the ship to turn 50 nautical miles away to the right." So the seaman, he will send the signal. And then, in the reply, comes back to them. He said, "You turn 50 nautical miles away from my light." So, this submarine is a warship, by the way. You got submarine, they have these missiles, right? So this captain said, "You tell the captain of that ship that we are a submarine warship." So the lieutenant, and then came the reply again, said, "You turn 50 nautical miles away." Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to put you here in to find out what is the real thing that happens. Okay? What is actually happen after this? We leave it to next Friday, same time at 9 o'clock. If you like these sessions, we can continue again. Every Friday, I have a series. In fact, I'm writing a book on harmonious communication, and I'm starting it. So this is my first series of video. I'm sharing with everyone here for just 20 minutes. Now it's exactly about 9:20. So as I agreed and promised that I will not lengthen the time. I know some of you have your own appointment. Today is Friday. Now, so the takeaway for today is this, whereby you can see here is date. Okay, so remember this, DATE. Don't assume things easily. Alright, so easy for you to remember. So this first series, don't assume things easily. Alright, so this is your takeaway for tonight. So I wish every one of you with much love and your smooth journey from today onwards. Don't assume that what people think or what you would expect for them. Clarity is the answer. Okay? Don't build assumptions, because assumption can cause a lot of unnecessary problems. Okay? So with that, thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice evening. This is Rahman signing up. The next series, I will tell you why I'm using the word Rahman, which is spelled as RAVMOND instead of Raymond. Alright? So thank you so much. And if you like what I post today and share with you today, just click a like there. I will really appreciate that. Alright? So all the best to everybody. Stay safe. You see, I don't touch anything on the current situation. No point. Everybody knows what's happening, right? So, alright. Here is Rahman signing up. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night. Thấy thùng nhông quá thùng. Is it still inside? Because I'm trying to off the thing.
Off it now. What's it off like you? What's first?
Good night.